Welcome back to Pine Haven Homestead. I'm so glad you're here. It has been a serious season of busy the past several months, and I just wanted to give you a little update on what happened here on the homestead in April and May. Lots of things have happened already since I recorded my last videos kind of showcasing things in the gardens. And so I'll have to do another update here for June pretty soon. But you guys, I am loving this spring. We've had a fantastic spring this year with super warm temperatures, not very many cold nights, and things are flourishing in the garden, and it just is so exciting. So anyways, let me go ahead and show you what we've got going on in the farm here in April and May of 2025 in our Zone 4 homestead here in North Idaho. It's April 2nd, and here is one of our flower beds that I put together a couple of years ago. All of the early spring flowering bulbs are making their appearance. Some crocus, the muscaria is starting, some hyacinths, and we can see some of my other plantings that I have, like creeping thymes and dianthus. The daffodils are poking up. I am absolutely in love with how this flower bed is coming and growing. And here's our flower bed on the other side that we just put in last year after we completed our porch build. I've got lots more spring bulbs coming in. I was able to snag some free bulbs from work that were kind of on their way out, so I got to add those on into this planting bed. I cannot wait to see how this flower bed comes to life this year with the different plants that I transplanted and what else I'm going to add to it. It's April 11th, and you can see that the crocus is done, but the daffodils are blooming, the hyacinth are blooming, the peonies are poking up their other earthly little fingers above ground. You can see that the thyme is starting to green up a bit. I just am in love with how this is coming along. There's a little bit of green and growth showing on the hydrangeas. The GM is growing and green. Oh, you guys, I am loving seeing how much this garden bed is filling in as the days keep coming. And a look out into the backyard. The maples are budding up, and it is just so peaceful here. All right, we're trying something new this year with growing our potatoes and onions, quote unquote, in ground. I put down some sheet mulching with cardboard and used some cow manure to hold it down, and then we're putting soil over the top, and I'll get planting right into there. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the potatoes. Got my handy dandy little planting markers so that they are all kind of evenly spaced as planting. And after the potatoes, then we'll go ahead and add in some of the onions. I've got a variety of different potatoes. Some of them I purchased this year, and some of them are seed potatoes from potatoes that we grew last year that kind of started to sprout out a little bit. So I'm just adding those in, throwing in some fertilizer into the holes with the planting, and now for the onions, I decided to just kind of broadcast the fertilizer all over and then separating those little tiny little onions and getting them planted all throughout this little hill that I created. We haven't grown our potatoes or onions this way, so it'll be interesting to see how they do and if this is going to be a gardening method that I'm going to continue for the years to come. I have always envisioned having an in-ground bed right here, so we'll see. Okay, I put over some of my netting to hopefully keep the chickens out from digging out of this berm and destroying all of the potatoes. I've got it all watered in. Looking out at the apple trees and the cows. I've got apple trees and currants planted just behind here. And then there's little guilds with each of the apple trees. I've got lavender and comfrey and chives. I think I'm going to add something else this year. Not quite sure yet what it is. So you can see I did several rows of the onions just to fit them all in there because there were so many. But there we go. There's the potatoes and the onions. There's my sweet little cows. And let's go ahead and take a look over here at the garden. There is a black lace elderberry. And then let's go ahead and take a look over at all of the boxes. Garlic planted, onions planted out in here. Really trying to up our food storage this year. I planted so many onions. And then we got more soil to top off these beds. And because I have wandering chickens, we're putting these fence panels over the top of the boxes so that they can't get in there and dig out everything. Had to makeshift a little fencing to go around this garlic and onion bed so they don't go in there and dig them out. These chickens, and probably the cats too, are proving to be quite challenging in the garden. But in here I've got some more onions, Walla Walla onions, and I've got some kohlrabi planted. I think I'm going to do peas over on the trellis. I'm so excited for the hope of growth this year. Here we've got some strawberries and a kohlrabi and some hyssop that I plan on transplanting because it just gets so big and takes over these beds. There's those chickens digging at my garden, proving to make everything more challenging, but they give us eggs, so they can stay. But I just love this garden, and I can't wait to see how it produces this year. I love these little greenhouse caps that I got for these two beds. I hope that I'm able to find a couple more for next year because I think they're going to be really good. And then over here, I had a cherry tree that died and sprouted up a new branch above the graft. So we're going to let that one live and see how it does this year. Got some sage and blueberries growing over here, some comfrey and asparagus and echinacea. And then this was another cherry tree that died. Didn't sprout anything up, so we just cut that off. Still has comfrey growing in it. And then another blueberry, waiting to come up with some sort of system to cover these blueberries so that I can fertilize them and give them some mulch without the chickens getting in there. So we'll see how that works. Got some chives I need to transplant. More comfrey. Another space where there was a tree, but now there isn't. A little blueberry that is just trying so hard. It's not as abundantly growing as the others. But once I figure out this whole keeping them covered situation, we'll see. And a cherry tree, hopefully we get blossoms this year. Rhubarb, all these little sticks here are my attempt at trying to keep the chickens away. I don't think it's going to work, but at least I'm trying something. We've got garlic trying to grow in here. Don't know how that'll do, but it should start coming up soon if it's going to work. Another little blueberry, another rhubarb, and then some more apple trees with that guild I was telling you about, and some currants in here. On this side, we've got black currants, and on the other side, I have the red lake currants. Got a grape planted, and I decided that I think I'm going to do more grapes along this black fence here. But the apple trees are budding out, and I'm just so hopeful that we're going to have a good harvest of apples this year. It's still April 21st, and so here is an update at these flower beds up by the house. You can see a lot more daffodils, a whole lot of dandelions, and then I planted in some feverfew little starts that I got. And then over here, I had more onions, so I got those planted in here near the front so that they'll be easier to harvest when the time comes. We can see some of the peonies coming up here. I planted some more feverfew along in here. And you can see the obedient plant and the hollyhocks coming up. And I have lots of other plants that hopefully will be making an appearance here pretty soon, like some foxglove and echinacea. But this bed is going to be really fun to see how it comes along as well. It's May 4th, and we have a little baby bull calf. His name is Wellington. All right, so we have some more additions on the Homestead, Farmstead. We've got turkeys, and then I've got a couple of Brahmas in here as well. Let's see, I've got 4 white turkeys, 3 bronze turkeys, and then I've got 2 dark Brahmas and 2 light Brahmas. And so I got the Brahmas to be part of our meat bird breeding operation. And so those are pullets. The 2 dark ones are named Jelly Bean and Pebbles, and we still have to name the light ones. I am drinking my coffee, which is made extra delicious because we had our baby calf. So Buttercup is back in milk, and so I get to have my Inner Beauty collagen from Young Living in here, along with some delicious thick heavy cream with my coffee, and it's so delicious. And let me show you what our milk fridge looks like because it is full. All right, here we are. There is our very, very full milk fridge. We still have room for a couple more bottles, but whew, that's a lot. And we are so grateful and so blessed for having all of this milk in here. we're so grateful. And then I'll give you a look at some of the seeds that I have started that desperately need to get outside. I've got squash and tomatoes, okra, tomatillos, peppers, basil, and some grains like quinoa and amaranth, and then a bunch of flowers as well. Oh, and cucamelons. So really excited to get these guys in the ground. Let's go take a look outside. All right, so life has been incredibly busy with work, so we still have to do some major weeding of our patio. I still have my broccoli rabe bolted, so that's done for, but I still have lots of cabbages and some more shallots and leeks that need to be transplanted. My rosemary is doing really good. My fig is starting to break dormancy, so really excited about that. This flower bed needs to get weeded along the house, but overall is coming along very nicely. Just about everything I planted in there last year came back, save just a couple of things. And then this flower bed, you guys, oh my goodness. Okay, so the tulips were absolutely fantastic. The daffodils were incredible, and we had a ton of muscari as well. But all of my peonies are coming up in here. The hydrangeas are leafing out, but my peonies are getting flower buds this year. And I cannot wait to see what colors they are, because I don't remember what I planted 3 years ago, and they're finally ready to bloom. My GM came back and is a force to be reckoned with. Need to do lots of weeding in this flower bed, but I love how full that it is. And I planted some chives in here. I have a couple, surprisingly enough, I have a couple of dahlias that came back that are poking up and coming back to blossom, which is really exciting because I did not dig them up, and I just was gonna just let them go, but they decided they really liked it here somehow in my zone 4, and so they managed to come back. I moved our silver lace vine, and it seems to have survived that fairly well. And then I've got my green stock with cabbages and cilantro and lettuces and cauliflowers and kale and all sorts of things, and some broccoli rabe that's again bolted, so gotta figure that out and pull that out and get something else in its place. And then let's go take a look over at the garden. Oh, before we do that, one thing I've wanted to mention is I'm growing so many onions this year that I had to put some of them. I've got Walla Wallas here, and then I've got leeks and shallots in this flower bed because I was running out of room. So they're just right up here at the front. I have some sage and feverfew growing in here as well, and just a handful of weeds that need to get weeded and taken out. But overall, this one's looking really good. It's going to be similar to that flower bed over there, but not quite. I'm going to put a few more drought tolerant perennials in there, and I'm thinking I'm going to throw a few boxwoods as well. All right, so let's head over here. I wanted to show you, I planted a serviceberry last year that was very, very sad looking, so I got it for a steal of a deal, and it is coming back and looks really, really good. And then I scored a couple of huckleberry from someone on Facebook Marketplace, and so I got those guys planted, and they look like they're doing pretty good, which is really exciting. No idea, we'll see how they do. Sugar maples broke dormancy very late, but they're doing good. We've got a mock orange syringa that survived and is coming back. Hard to tell with all of my dandelions, but it's there. And I've got plans to turn this into kind of a little secret garden area of sorts. Lots of blackberries coming and breaking dormancy in here, which is really exciting. Here comes a dog. Hi, Ira. And then back here next to the dog, I've got some hops growing. This is the hops I planted last year that was really sad, but it came back. And then I have hops growing right here that I planted the year before, but I didn't take care of it well and it died, but it looks like it still survived and it's coming back this year. And then all of my raspberries. And I overbought on soil, which is actually not true. So we are creating another raspberry bed right here. It's slow in process. Piggies are up back there. Ruby is due to deliver any week now. So we've got her separated from the other piggies. She's so cute. And we've never had baby piglets before, so this will be an adventure for how she does. But I don't know if you can tell or not, but her little boobies are getting pretty swollen. So we don't know exactly when she got bred. So it'll be a fun mystery for when she does deliver. So now let's go ahead and go on into the garden. Got feverfew and hyssop and peonies and lavender, campanula, valerian growing in here. Looks really good. And then one apple tree died that we knew was going to die. And then the rest of my apple trees are blossoming. So we're very excited about that. I've got some purple cabbages growing in here. Still nursing along this little blueberry that does not look much bigger from when I got it 4 years ago, but that's okay. Currants are doing well. And I have a grape planted that got frozen but is growing back from the base. So it is still doing pretty good. Rhubarb is flourishing, mostly flourishing over here. I've got some green cabbages in here, and then we have lots of asparagus planted. Got a couple of asparagus in here. Some more coming up right there. And there's some there. Still in there before we can harvest any. We've got some more asparagus in here, and then I've got to pull up all of those sunflower volunteers because they really cannot be there. They do take over all of the nutrients and stunt the growth of anything planted near them. And then we've got more asparagus in here and lots of cosmos that self-seeded. So got to do some cleanup in here as well. And then asparagus and onions growing in here because I'm just growing so many. And here is a pink lemonade, blueberry, big old comfrey, lavender, more asparagus in this one and in this one. Just a little tiny baby growing up right there. So we'll see how that one does. And then I need to transplant this comfrey, can't be there. Got another blueberry growing right here. And then we have, what do we have in here? We have some sage and chamomile, a salvia, and then echinacea in here. More comfrey, and my cherry tree that died, but it still gets sent up an extra branch of the variety that I planted. So there we go. But then you can see, oh, I forgot to show you guys the other cherry that I planted that I got as a little sapling from someone in town. And it's breaking dormancy and looking really good. In its 4th year of life here, it's looking very, very decent. And then looks like I need to pull out those flower heads from the rhubarb. In here right now, we are building these boxes and we're gonna make little chicken wire panels to go in here so I don't have to have fencing on top of them to keep the chickens and cats out. But I've got celery planted in here and artichokes. right now, and then we'll get more things in there once I'm able to actually plant in here. Garlic, it's doing really good. And then I've got more celery and artichokes. And this one, I'm gonna get another cattle panel to go between these two beds, like these ones. And I'm gonna grow my loofah and cucamelons in this bed, I've decided. I can't see in here, but I've got peas. Let's go around the other side and see if we can sneak in a view. All of this is because of chickens. But I've got cabbages and peas growing in here with a hyssop and a couple of onions, a bunch of garlic and peas, and some more onions growing in here, all because of the chickens. So that's really fun. And then here we've got more cabbages, some broccoli and peas. Here we can come on this side and get a better look at this. So the plan is to build another one of these squares on this corner, or this half, to match the ones down below. And we'll do some chicken wire panels on there so that we can not have to have the frost covers all of the time on there. Nothing currently planted in here, but a volunteer mullein. Got strawberries and onions in here. Onions and kohlrabi and peas in here. And then more onions and strawberries in this one. And then my mulberry tree that just keeps trying is starting to break dormancy now. I do have another mulberry tree that is going to come home with me from work in the next couple of weeks that is going to get planted over in that corner over there once I clear up all of the tarps and get some more wood chipped down. We've got a couple of garlic in here, and I'll probably plant more cabbages or cauliflower in here. I did have some horseradish in here. I did harvest some last fall, but I left some and it doesn't look like it survived. So I have to find more horseradish. And then I have onions in here that look really sad. So clearly they need some more nourishment. Cox orange pippin. Nothing is planted in these two beds right here, but let me show you what we've got going on in my little greenhouses. Set the coffee down. All right, so I need to water in here because I haven't watered in a little while, but I've got basil and some tomatoes, and then I've got my peppers in here and an eggplant. So very excited to see how these do. And then we'll go look in the other one over here. And in here, I just have two things planted in this one. We've got tomatillos growing in here. So I need to water these guys in. It's been a couple of days. We'll get those guys watered and they'll be good to go. I'm gonna plant more tomatoes in there. I'm thinking on these guys, when we get the chicken wire on, I can also throw some greenhouse plastic on, and then I'll have some more little greenhouses, 3 of them to be exact, that will be great for keeping it a little bit warmer. 2 new wine barrels that I'm gonna get filled with some soil and get more things planted in, thinking maybe a couple of tomatoes. And then over here, I've got my onion mound and my potato mound. I have the tool over the potato mound because these 4 refuse to live with the other chickens. So they are my wandering bunch, and they do have 1 more. I don't know where she is, but there are generally 5 of them wandering around. And we love them. We're so grateful for them. But it's because of them that we need to fix all of my beds. And then over here we have our beautiful cows. And as you can see, our calf likes to be in the hay feeder. when we came out and he was born, he was already in the hay feeder, so not sure if he was born in there or not. Didn't quite look like it, but you never know. His name is Wellington, like beef Wellington. And then Iris and Buttercup are doing very well. And we've got lots of lush green growing in their paddock this spring. And we have plans to extend further on beyond there, so they can have more grassy area to enjoy and eat. But this is pretty much what we've got going on right now. Absolutely adore all of these apple blossoms. This is a Roxbury russet. This is a yellow Newton Pippin, and he did get some blossoms on him this year. I wasn't sure if he was gonna do that or not. And then we've got Red Lake currants in between them. And then here is a pink pearl apple. So they have these gorgeous, gorgeous magenta, dark pink blossoms. And then the flesh of the apple is actually pink as well. So I'm super, super excited for those. And then this was a crab, but it's no longer there. So we're gonna replace it with another apple. Haven't decided which one yet. We do already have one Honeycrisp. Might go ahead and get a second one. I'm not quite sure. But oh, there's our fifth one. Hi, sweet girl. That's one of our leghorns. We have two. The other one is up on the hill up over there with the rest of the chickens where they belong. But these ones just won't go there. So this is pretty much the state of the garden. I can take you over to go take a look at the hazelnuts. But there we've got Liberty apple, Honeycrisp apple, and a Freedom apple. And I did prune the Freedom apple this spring, and it is a show of blossoms. I didn't prune it last year, and it had 0 blossoms, 0 apples. So pruning is definitely key in getting some fruit production on your apples. I pruned the other 2, and they still have some blossoms, but not as intense as that Freedom. Very interesting. This hazelnut I think is a dud. I don't think they started to break dormancy, and then we got a freeze and all of his little buds froze. And this one, when I do the scratch test, I'm getting nothing off of him. And then I have my little sapling from my friend of a Hall's Giant that looks beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And then I have this one here that started to break dormancy, and then we had a freeze, and then I wasn't sure, but scratch test still shows some green. And then he's got a couple of these little, see if I can focus. Little buds coming up on these branches. So he might still have some life left in him, and we'll see. Otherwise, I may need to replace them. I'm gonna go take you guys to the front yard, and you can see what we've got happening over there. Oh, but before I do that, here is my Bailey's Purple Select hazelnut, and that one's looking great. So since my other hazelnuts look so good and the other 2 look so poorly, I'm thinking they're not making it, but I'm still gonna give them a little bit of a chance. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at the goats, and you can see the bunny over there and our meat chicken. So we'll go that way real quick. All right, so here are our meat birds. This rooster is very rude, so we had to separate them. They were in with the goats, but he would attack us. So they are separated now over into here. And then over here are our lovely goats. Hi, cutie pies. They're doing great. Everybody's very happy, all 4 of them. And I think they're happy to have the chickens out of here. But very good goats, very happy. All right, let's go to the front yard. But look at all of this. Sullivan seal, snowberry, serviceberry. Oh, it all looks so beautiful in this little woodland area that is on the list to be developed into a beautiful woodland landscape. 1 year. All of our cow manure to create the base, and then I'll get some soil put on top of it. But it's a very large area that I'm creating here. And so we are saving some dollars by utilizing our cow manure. And then I moved a couple of wine barrels over for at the fence line, at the gates, that will fill in with, that one's full over there at that end. This one is empty. I still need to get soil for it and the plants. And then we've got all of our American black elderberries in here. We've got Novas and Yorks. Every single one broke dormancy. Not every single one looks as full as the other, but they're all alive, they are all growing, and they will eventually create the hedge along for privacy during the growing season. And then I was able to get a bunch of little daffodils and muscari for free from work. So I planted up the front lawn here with them so that we can have a sea of spring color flourishing. In the spring of yellow and purple, and I am just so excited. Half of them I planted last year, and then I got a bunch more this year to get planted up. So I'm really excited to see what this will look like next year when it's all in bloom. And then the plan too is to put in a bunch of crocus in here as well. Crocus are one of my favorite spring blooms. So to have this full of crocus is going to be really exciting as well. And so here's the other planter that I've got. The other one is going to be matching with some petunias in it, and I've got a fine line buckthorn in there, so we'll go ahead and add that in. And then I've got my chestnuts. They broke dormancy. They are here, so we're very excited. And you can see more muscari all throughout here, and the daffodils came up, and they were so pretty. I'll find a picture and show it to you guys. And then here's the other chestnut tree. That one looks much, much better. But I'm excited for these guys to grow and fill out the area and create some more privacy as well. But as you can see, the berm's gonna go all the way to about there. It's gonna be very large, and I'm gonna get lots of plants in it, and I'm very excited. And then here is my mini bed of shade. Got a bunch of lily of the valley coming up, a couple of hosta, planted some ferns and columbine, and very, very excited for this one to come along. I am going to extend it to the doorway over there eventually, but it's so fun. It's just a slow work in progress, not on my high priority, but I love getting to see all of these come up.